Now, here's my theory on why your score was lower than I expected. The film is fractured, and really the thing that sets it apart from other films is the first part. Mm-hmm. And if that bit has been, if there's no novelty to that at all,
that's a great point.
Then you're only really the only novelty is the second part, which really doesn't stand out that much, as far as I can tell, from any other film. It wasn't like that special, part two.
Yeah, I think for me, the enjoyment of part one has been exhausted by my years of YouTubing.
Of the clips.
Like the first time I almost remember the first time I saw film compilations with the drill sergeant in, just being like, 5'9", I didn't know they stack shit that high, and being incredibly enjoying, what is this? Finding out it was ad-libs. And
there was some...
You look like the sort of man who would fuck a guy in the ass and not even give him the goddamn common courtesy to give him a reach around. I'll be watching you. And I've seen them all so many times. But the first time was like just pure enjoyment.
It's hilarious. That was my experience. You know that was a line that Kubrick had shouted cut immediately afterwards. Asked him what a reach around was. He had to explain it to him. Then he went, keep that, I like that. And then just rolled it again and was like, that's staying.
Just some weirdo asking what.
Supposedly that was one of the ad-libs, yeah, supposedly. So, I mean, I think if part one, the real standout bit, which to be fair, should have just been a movie on its own. If that hadn't have been spoiled for you, it would have definitely been.
For sure. If I was looking at this, and this is a difficulty with classics that we end up watching, is that we find out about them through pop culture over a period of time.
Well, so not me.
You don't.
Yeah, I said I recognized some of it. That's not true. I'd seen the drill sergeant before. I knew he shouted at people. But when I was watching it, I just could not believe.
I'd heard of a reach around. And I was like, he must have invented that. Yeah, I think that for me then, all these classic films, I a part of the mystique around them has already been ruined for me.
So perhaps what we'll see is the new films that we start doing will do better.
Getting good scores.
Your ratings will be like Planet of the Apes that we've got in a couple of weeks, higher than Full Metal Jacket.
But this is why it's good that your ratings balance out.
You don't want my ratings to balance out. I don't know what I'm fucking doing.
Yeah, but I think if you were in 1987, the new Stanley Kubrick film's coming out, and you were like, okay, I'm going to watch it, and the first scene you saw was... Okay, not the first scene. They get their heads shaved.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the song is.
That's credits.
That's it.
No one gives a shit.
Whatever.
I wasn't even looking.
They get their heads shaved, and then I wasn't even watching. And then the next thing you hear is him clopping down the stairs and just shouting at all of them. I'm not going to do the impression again.
That was
yeah,
brilliant.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely. So. And just how much of it I got. Didn't he have a great singing voice as well? Like when they were...
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, man. He was loving it. I feel like he sung a lot more than he needed to.
Yeah.
I don't feel like a drill sergeant... part of the process of getting that job requires you to sing that much. I feel like that's...
When he was singing Happy Birthday, and I was like, who's this going to be for? Like, Happy birthday, dear Jesus. the only moments where he showed his humanity were when referring to the good Lord. But yeah, I think that it would have been much more enjoyable having not known about all of that stuff, but still, you got to tip your hat and appreciate that it's a very adventurous effort on his part, and that the shock, whilst we don't appreciate it, or whilst I don't appreciate it, is still,
adventurous on
Kubrick's part.
Yeah,
I don't think it's adventurous on the drill sergeant.
Well, I thought the second part was a bit dull and lifeless, and the only thing that really went for the film, the thing that really made the film stand out, was the adventurous bit, the first 45 minutes.
Well, which is something that, funnily enough, because I knew much more about the first half is clearly way more famous.
Yeah.
Whatever you read
and
about
way better.
Well, that's the thing. For me, I probably enjoyed the second half more, because I knew...
Yeah.
I actually didn't know much about it.
Yeah. But you're
I
wrong.
enjoyed it out
It's
of
just-
I more enjoyed it out of surprise. I didn't enjoy like if I look back, there's a reason why I knew so much about the first half and didn't
Yeah.
know anything about the second half.
And if
It's
I
because
know
no one
something
gives a
about
shit
it-
about the second half.
Exactly. For me, it did nothing to set itself aside. The second part at all. And actually, should you watch Full Metal Jacket?
Right.
Here's one of the only times I'm going to give an answer that's not yes, no. Yes, watch the first part and then just turn it off. Just don't bother watching the rest of it.
First part is
that's a
8.5.
film. Yeah, that's a good film in and of itself for 45 minutes. Enjoy it,
Well, that's an interesting one, yeah.
and then just turn it off. You don't need to watch the rest.
Yeah, you've seen the rest so many times.